Welcome, folks, to part 11 of our complete history of war, year after year. Thanks for your comments and subscriptions to make this channel reach a broader audience. We'll here talk a little bit about ancient Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and Egypt, and then make our first tour in China, plus a bonus at the end of the video. Let us jump in. We have reached 1503 BC, when Puzur-Assur III becomes the new king of Assyria in nowadays northern Iraq, in upper Mesopotamia. He struggles a little bit against Burnaburiash I, the Kassite king of Babylon, southward. But this rival dies in 1501 BC, and a peace is reinstated between the two powers. Puzur-Assur III restores the fortifications of his capital city, Assur. Southeast of this, around 1500 BC, ends the reign of Kutir-Nahunti II, last Elamite king of the Epartid dynasty in nowadays Iran. Elam is under Amorite assaults, the Amorites coming from the west. Its region of Anshan is under such severe pressure that some of its inhabitants go back to nomadism. Moving on to 1492 BC, where the reign of Thutmose I, third pharaoh of the 18th dynasty of Egypt, comes to an end. He conquered some more of Kush, south of Egypt in Nubia, possibly sacking Kerma for a second time despite its walls, and occupying the lands down to the fourth cataract of the Nile River. Kerma is on the third cataract. An Egyptian governor will from here on, and until the reign of Ramesses XI, hold this land, and the children of Nubian leaders will have to be educated at his court. Let us mention, coming back to mummified Thutmose I, that he scored a victory over King Paratarna of Mitanni, Mitanni over here, as far north as Carchemish, 100 kilometers, 62 miles, north of Aleppo in nowadays Syria. Paratarna had taken Aleppo and forced King Ilima I to flee nearby Alalah. But obviously, Thutmose I wanted none of that, seeing as how Egyptians' expeditions are going really well these times. Let's hear this interesting disenchanted account of a soldier's life of the time, while admiring this tablet riddled with hieroglyphs. His march takes him through the mountains. He drinks water once in 3 days, a smelly water that tastes of salt. The enemy comes, surrounds him with projectiles, and life deserts him. One tells him, "Go forward, brave soldier, earn yourself a name." He doesn't know why he fights. His body is weak, his legs betray him. If he comes home alive, he is worn by these marches. This was an encouraging papyrus from the time of the New Kingdom. Join the army, right? Any fellow war veteran among you? What do you think of this? Have things changed over the course of the last 3 millennia? Okay, let's move on. We previously mentioned a defeat of Paratarna of Mitanni against Egypt. This Paratarna of Hurrian ethnicity is in power since 20 years or so, and in 1490 BC he's actually at the head of a powerful empire that has extended westward, taking advantage of the fall of the Hittite Old Kingdom, where Telepinu's successors have done no good for themselves. Note that Ilima I, that had been expelled from his small kingdom around Alalah by Paratarna, would have been proud of his son Idrimi, who comes back to Alalah, retaking it with the help of Epirus, Semitic nomads of these regions. Agreeable this time, or maybe intimidated by the Egyptians who still firmly hold Carchemish, Paratarna recognizes Idrimi's rule, but as his vassal. Let's be reasonable, would you? It is possible that in the coming decades, Idrimi will ally with King Piliya of Kitsuwatna, to take some lands from the weakened Hittites. Kitzuwatna was right here on the other side of the sea. In 1493 BC starts the reign of Ulam Buryash, Kassite king of Babylonia, or Karduniash for the Kassites. He's the second son of late Bona Buryash to rule already, and he achieves the full conquest of southern Mesopotamia, possibly forcing the king of the Sealand, Eagamil, to flee in Elam. Dates about the Kassite rule are hard to establish after this. Maybe Ulamburyash's successor, Agum III, will have to tame a rebellion of the Sealand before 1464. On to the big chunk of this video, the year 1480. Let's quickly evacuate Anatolia. The Gazgas, ferocious plunderers, take the Hittite cities of Nerik and Tiliura, north of Hattusa, during the reign of the Hittite Hantili II. Before 1450, the Gazgas will effectively hold northern Anatolia, and it seems that even the Hayatsa Atsi, whom we met in a previous video of future Armenia, occasionally took their turn at pillaging Hittite lands. Then we will note that Paratarna of Mitanni starts annexing the Kitzuwatna of King Piliya, despite the alliance between Kitzuwatna and Hatti. This annexation will be complete under the Hittite Zindanta II, successor of Antili II, both men powerless to stop it. And so here we are. Hello, China! Although some sources claim it dates back to 1766 BC, we will prudently place the advent of the Shang dynasty here. The Shangs from the first imperial dynasty of future China, after uniting the lands of the eastern half of the modern country. The Shangs were masters at war, using war chariots, back then pulled by 2 horses and carrying up to 3 men, 1 driver, 1 bowman, and 1 shield or gay bearer. The gay being a sort of dagger axe, a dagger blade perpendicularly attached to a wooden haft. You can see one on screen right now. The warrior of the chariot may disembark to fight effectively. It is estimated that 300 chariots and 3,000 infantrymen could be mobilized by the Shangs. This region entered the Bronze Age around 2000 BC, and it used some elephants in war or not, we don't know, taken from southern livestock. Fortifications around cities, earthen walls mostly, appeared under this dynasty as well. A legendary battle is said to have occurred during the 17th century BC between the rising Shangs, led by Tang, and the Xiyas of tyrant Jie. In this battle of Mingtiao, the 500 years old Xia dynasty would then have been beaten by the Shangs, but this is all very blurry to us today. In any event, under the Shangs, the lordlings of the dynasty will lead raids against their rivals or to submit some unruly peoples. Some attacks of opportunist Qiangs, semi-nomads living north and westward, more or less in nowadays Mongolia, will also have to be repulsed. And of course, you've had some minutes to admire these gay that I mentioned earlier. I will just precise that it is made of bronze, covered in verdigris. But note that one fine example was found with a blade made of jade. Okay, 1479 BC to top of this video, it is the end of Thutmose II reign over Egypt. He tamed a Nubian revolt southward and maybe fought against the Bedouin nomads from the deserts of Sinai and Arabia northward. And you know what, just as a small parting gift, as this is not a particularly long video, I just wanted to show you some stuff that I was not able to show you with archaeological pieces because the images are not free of rights. It is the representation of a siege in ancient Mesopotamia, and the original piece is just a ceramic plate that was found in the city of Marie. Actually, on the plate, you only see a shield bearer protecting an archer. But it is very important because it dates from way before 2000 before Christ, and it is possibly the earliest known representation of a siege. So I just imagined the rest of the scene: defenders on the rampart with throwing spears, bows, and slings, and the attackers down below with numerous shield bearers and bowmen. Another artifact that I would have liked to show you is just a painting on the wall of an Egyptian tomb of what is, as far as I know, the earliest representation of a siege tower. So you can see it here on the bottom left. A very simple siege tower, but with wheels, almost no protection on the sides, and you see the Egyptian warriors, equipped with epsilon-type axes, are just climbing on the structure of the tower itself. No ladders at all. And you can see in the center of the image, well, bottom of the image, some Egyptians protecting themselves from the attacks of the defenders with wooden and hide structures. And on the right, an Egyptian warrior holding a koppesh, a curved sword. The upper part, it is just a Mycenaean warrior. We see it in the chronological video, so no need to speak about it. And just for fun, the notes I am writing while reading varied documents, and the notes I'm using to make the content of these videos. Chicken scratch, right? Alright, that's all for today. On the next episode, we'll see the Battle of Megiddo, the first battle of history that we know of with precise details. It will be under Pharaoh Thutmose III. Of course, leave a like, a small comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. I will see you on this next big battle video. Bye bye.